Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Fantastic Four issue 35. And I think that this one is okay. Now, this is to celebrate like the 60 years of the Fantastic Four. So, this thing is beefy and expensive. It's $9.99. So, for $10, you're like, okay, now granted, celebrating 60 years of the Fantastic Four is a big milestone. I was more expecting along the range of like five, maybe $6. Yeah. Now, granted, it is big and hefty, more almost like a kind of like a small trade back, because there's pretty much a collection of like issues in here of how it's like laid out. Now, when I think of like celebrating the Fantastic Four, I thought that they would kind of go into other different kind of Fantastic Four members popping around and kind of talking about the legacy and history while kind of like leading us to where we would be going next. Now, grant we still have the issue of Johnny is still in perpetual flame on mode, and we don't have any kind of idea of how that'll be resolved or whatnot. And I don't mind that it mainly focused on the core Fantastic Four. It's just how this was done was kind of really strange in my opinion. Because we've got like the main thing, which is done revolving more around Kang the Conqueror and split up into different kind of issues done with it. And then we kind of have some things at the end exploring a little bit of like previous Fantastic Four kind of history kind of stuff. It's it's not the worst thing. I don't think I'm not happy about the price for it, so I would not recommend it based on mainly price. If you're into Fantastic Four and you need Fantastic Four, you're fine with that. Then it's good. It's good for the collection. It's good for your all things Fantastic Four. Other people that are being like, okay, I'm just trying issue to issue, see what's going on. You'd be really just like, okay, because it doesn't. It could have interwoven the main kind of story that we've been going on a lot better. All right, so how do we do this? So we see that the Fantastic Four are making their way back to the building, pretty much tell the kids to kind of open up, and they're like, what the fuck's going on with Uncle Johnny? And they see there's this weird kind of floating invisible thing, being like, hey, where the fuck are you from? And then it switches over to the Never space, and we see that there's pretty much a meeting of the Kangs. We see Immortus, Rama Tut, this Scarlet Centurion, we see Kang the Conqueror, and we see a new one called Scion. And they're pretty much brought together because Nathaniel Richards, of course, Reed Richards' father, has created some kind of like treasure thing, deemed the prize, broke it into four pieces, and scattered it along all different kind of timelines for the Fantastic Four. Linked to the Fantastic Four. So they're like, yeah, we kind of want this shit, as each Kang is pretty much dick measuring and going like, fuck you, you asshole. And then it's like, I'm you, but I'm older. And it's like, yeah, I'm you, but I'm way older. And then the one's like, I'm the oldest, you're all dumb motherfuckers. Paraphrasing, never gets to that level of complete, like, profanity, but you kind of get the gist. So they decide to go and do their kind of thing, and they're like, yeah, we can either just easily just grab them, but let's have a great story of how we killed the Fantastic Four. And that's how it's kind of broken up. We see Ramatut go first, pretty much being like, yeah, I buried him in sand, ha 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 ha. The Scarlet Centurion one's like, hey, yeah, guess what? I just brought the Thunderbolts along and just had them kind of like fight him, ha ha ha. These are all at like different time points. Ramatut did it at the beginning. Scarlet Centurion was pretty much right before like the Onslaught Heroes Reborn kind of thing, with the Thing wearing a helmet. Then we get kind of one where Johnny was taken out of the Negative Zone, kind of with the Future Foundation, and then Scion would have been tasked with like present day kind of shit and shenanigans. Let's see. Kang just went old school medieval kind of shit and took like things like Excalibur and Cap Shield and killed them. Except for Johnny, he kind of like deatomized him. So they're all kind of like got back. They're telling, of course, these stories so Immortus can like log them into the Kang book, Kang stuff that all the Kangs did. And then we get to Scion, and he's telling how he did his thing, which is pretty much de-aging some to like babies and aging some up to pretty much people, like old people. And then he was pretty much going to kill kids, and then all the kings were like, no, motherfucker, hold your ass. We don't kill kids, man. And I'm like, good to know. That's a really good thing to know about Kang. But he's like, yeah, I've been lying. So guess what? All y'all people, we learned that Scion pretty much went to each of the different points, got the invisible girl from Ramatut's one, which is like 60s one, got the hooded thing from the other one, with the help from Sue. Then they got the Johnny, instead of being atomized and vaporized, he got taken with him. And then we learned that he has built like the best team in the Fantastic Four to take on all of these Kangs, as Scion is actually revealed to be Reed Richards. And then they pretty much whoop all the Kangs' asses. And the thing is, some of it's not even shown. Like, Ramatut's the last one. He's like, yeah, I got my fucking Sphinx thing and I'm going to kick some ass. It's like, yeah, we're built to pretty much beat the shit out of kaijus. It's like, I didn't think this through. And then we'd also seen the Time Variance Authority had monitored what was going on. It was like, shit's getting real. We gotta watch this shit. But then they come in, it's like, oh, okay, everything's kind of worked out. We'll send everybody back. We'll wipe their minds and shit, and we'll be good to go. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take this fucking thing and like build it. And yeah, whatever. It's like, all right, I don't know, you know the rate. Yeah, we should just watch out because the Reckoning War is going to be going on. What? And it's like, all right, cool. I don't mind teases like that. That it's like, okay, yeah, we'll see how that kind of works. So they get back, and rightfully, Johnny was a little bit peeved. He's like, shouldn't we be, like, figuring out a way to, like, turn my ass off? Yes. Now, granted, this is a little bit bigger, but it's like, yes. Then we see that it's got a recording from Nathaniel Richards, and that it reveals that he had also had another family, and that Reed Richards has a sister, and that family's important, so they're gonna go find her. Even though Johnny's just as important, and is fucking flaming on 24/7, and needs help with that shit. Yeah. It's like, okay. I don't mind a setting up of new stuff, especially with like celebrating the Fantastic Four 60 years. I'm just like, right? I don't mind seeing that Reed Richards has a secret sister that he never knew about, and that this is teasing that up to come, and the Reckoning War and all that. I just felt that would have been better done in another kind of one, whereas I would have liked to have seen, I don't know, like Spidey, Wolverine, Hulk, maybe Ghost Rider pop up, She-Hulk. It's almost like I would have rather had where they were doing the stuff with the Griever and they got all the Fantastic Four to come, and then they're dealing with a kind of threat to that nature, and then they just kind of hang out and kind of shoot the shit and kind of like actually live up to like the family kind of name, and just like talk about everything that they've been through and like catch up with other people and kind of set up some other stuff as well, dealing with like, I don't know, Franklin feeling down and dejected about losing his powers and what that means for his status in the family. Valeria dealing with all the shit that she's had to deal with Prince Arboro and all that, and I don't know, Bentley's around there, the Future Foundation. The Future Foundation! We don't really get that much except like the name drop for when it was one of the time periods. I don't hate this, and I don't think it's completely bad. It's not horrendous. I like the artwork. I kind of like the concept that is there. I just think it needed to be executed a little bit better. Then we get towards the end, and that's pretty much the bulk. Then we get this one little thing pretty much showing them trying to live an everyday life, and then of course Mole Man pops up, and they're like, Mole Man, screw off. And it's like, okay. Now, granted, Mole Man does not go away that way. They, of course, do their Fantastic Four thing and, like, fight him. That's about that. Then we get kind of the rehash, and we see that Mr. Fantastic's pretty much doing an interview, kind of sciencey kind of thing about the Fantastic Four, and we get a new kind of rehash kind of thing of, well, not a rehash. We get them talking about them going on Marvel 1 and their flight and the radiation stuff, and Reed's kind of new kind of perspective about it. mainly that it was his arrogance about the shielding and thinking it was sufficient enough when other people told him that it wasn't, and he double checked and triple checked and everything, but he got out there. We see that everything negatively kind of affects him. We get some other kind of insight. Sue being afraid that she'd disappear on the spot. Ben, of course, with his usual kind of thing. Having another kind of insight to Johnny, whereas Ben was more despair. Johnny was in terror that he would flame on and, like, kill someone or hurt someone or whatnot. It's like, that's a different kind of one. Because normally we're into, like, he's like, yeah, I'm, first it'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking on fire, but I'm like, oh, I'm okay. But then the thinking of, like, I would be okay, but what if somebody that I love got hurt or whatnot? And seeing that and how that affected Reed and his whole kind of thing. Him, of course, researching into the original Human Torch, and then, of course, going on his whole kind of PR kind of thing to make them out to be heroes, so that way, because it was a needed thing, otherwise they'd go at him as freaks and everything, but that it was a vital part to, like, help them with their mental health, which is an interesting kind of aspect for it. I'm like, interesting, okay, cool. And then bringing about how their family and all that, and that he needed to do this for his family because he's the one that kind of got him into it. He had to be the one to kind of help get him out of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, that was a kind of nice thing. Yeah, it was a nice kind of thing to end on. Definitely kind of like giving a nice little retrospective kind of thing. So, overall, I was alright with this issue, but cobbled together with the price and how it was kind of executed, mainly with focusing almost exclusively on Kang and that kind of Kang aspect, didn't really work for me. I don't think it's bad, I wish that they had done some other kind of stuff to focus more on the Fantastic Four themselves. Maybe, of course, have Kang pop up because of his, how important he is, but I just think that it could have been done better and executed better. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.